Hello everybody. In this video, I would like to take some time to talk about the use of psychedelics as a form of spiritual practice or attaining spiritual awakenings, and how that affects or can affect a human being and their spiritual progress, if you want to call it that. Now, this is all going to be from my subjective experiences with psychedelics and spirituality. And I just felt I should mention that because, what I am about to lay on you all is my karmic unfolding, where I am as an egoic individual and what I'm dealing with in terms of spiritual progress. So, ultimately, I feel karma is what got me to where I am right now. But if I were to talk sequentially, it would be psychedelics that have brought me to this point that I am at now. Because psychedelics were what conveyed to me the most raw form of spiritual energy that I have yet ever encountered. It revealed to me magic. It revealed to me higher power. It revealed to me my own power, my own abilities. And this all instilled faith and courage in what I was doing revolved around spirituality. And I was tripping quite often. When I first got into psychedelics, I was tripping quite often, and I did LSD 4 times, and then I gained access to DMT and was doing that, 2 to 3 times a week. And I would take LSD every other week or every 2 weeks or, something like that. There was just a lot of tripping going on in my life. And like I said, I saw the most unreal yet real world that I have ever witnessed. And it utterly blew my mind. It utterly blew my mind, and who I thought I was as an individual and what I thought this world was about, and why we're here and who I am and stuff like that. And it really started when I had what you'd call ego death on LSD. Now, I had been doing a lot of studying of psychedelics and Eastern mysticism at this point in my life. And I knew about an ego, and I knew about how it's not who I truly am, and that it is essentially who I think I am, and that whole trip. So that was fresh in my mind going into this LSD experience, and I ended up having a quite profound, what you'd call ego death, where I realized that who I am is actually just who I think I am, and who I think I am is a phony, is a fake. It isn't actually a concrete reality in my existence. And all there was that was concrete in reality was everything that ever existed. So in a way you could say I was one. I was merged with awareness. And at first, I didn't think much of it. It felt like just a trip I had. And I think it was a week after that, I took the most amount of LSD I've ever taken. And it knocked my socks off, to say the least, in how intense it was, and made me realize, because I was under the impression, okay, I've realized my true self, now I can really go head on into this psychedelic realm. But the mere power of these things themselves is enough to take anybody at any sort of revered state that they've gotten themselves into and just sort of brush it aside and say, well, not say, but it's almost like it's putting off this, you thought you were something crazy, you thought this was about you, you know what I mean? You might not. Like I said, this is my work with the psychedelics. And I'd have to say it really kick-started my spiritual journey, taking these psychedelics, because once I started having, or had this ego death experience, it took on a whole nother vibe. This psychedelic world took on a whole nother vibe, and it was as if it was showing me that I don't matter. Who I think I am doesn't matter. Now that is pretty morbid sounding, and it sounds like, a negative thing to have happen to you. And that's no lie. That's no lie, because to realize you don't matter and to realize you're not important and nothing is really serious completely takes you back. It took me back. It still does to this day. These things that I have deciphered out of my psychedelic experiences. To be something that doesn't matter. To be something that doesn't exist. To be something that is everything at once. It sounds pretty. It sounds cool. It sounds spiritual. It sounds right on with what you're trying to get. But when you get it, with the slightest bit of ego left, you will be put back. If there's any ego in you, it will catch in the psychedelic realm before you are okay with what's going on. Now that has been the root of my struggles with the psychedelic, is being okay. Whether it was amidst the experience or after the experience, or thinking I won't be the next time I have one of those experiences. Ram Dass talks about how people tend to think they need to, in terms of spiritual progress, people tend to think they need to get behind themselves and push to get as far out as they can, because they need to do it, they need to make it, they need to stay focused, they need to keep going. They're getting so much work done, they don't stop now. But next thing they know, they come to their senses and they realize they are so much farther out than they thought they were. And things are way more surreal and way more profound than they thought they were. And this is just in the new mind of the being who was driving themselves down this spiritual path just in such a hurry because they needed to get as deep as they could, as quick as they could. And, I feel somewhat of a victim of this, that doing all these psychedelics, it was driving my mind outward. It was driving it outward. It was becoming so free and so unbound in the things I was questioning, and the things I was putting my faith in, and the things I was believing. And what I stopped believing in, my reality completely flipped upside down. You could say metaphorically, I became a new person. I had a spiritual awakening. I went psychotic. I went insane. But to me, to my subjective experience of all this, it has all been a continuation of the same thing, of the same journey, of the same message, of the same vibe, with different stuff going on, And it's not, to think I'm too far out because I did psychedelics way too much is part of my karmic path. It's part of my karmic path. And still being attached to psychedelics because I understand and know experientially the power that they have behind just taking it. I lost my train of thought, what I was saying before that. Oh, I see. It was, this is all my karmic path. All the thoughts that I have towards these things, and all the fears and boundaries and desires and attachments that I have revolved around psychedelic spirituality, is my karmic path. And being too afraid to go back in because I might just go too far is my karmic path. And, I keep saying karma, 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 karma. And, like I said earlier, that's what I think essentially brought me to where I am. Karma is why I took LSD in the first place. Karma is why I had ego death. Karma is why I'm afraid of taking a psychedelic right now. Because it's all a part of a path. It's I don't want to call it a test, but, Terence McKenna said, psychedelics themselves tend to weed out the non-worthy in the very beginning. Psychedelics tend to weed out the non-worthy rather soon in their endeavors into psychedelics. And you could call it somebody who started taking psychedelics and then got or thought they were too far out and then got scared of the psychedelics and returned back to their mundanity or up and shifted their sadhana, their spiritual practice, because that one was too scary. That one was too deep. That one was taking me too far out. Now, if you understand the idea of karma, you must see my predicament here. How I believe in psychedelics, but I fear of my own psychological wellness, my own mental well-being. And this is not in the psychedelic. This is my ego transforming, undergoing change, karmically. And all these boundaries that I am facing, and all these realizations that I get to, and okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take a psychedelic then, or oh no, now's not the time. I'm going to hold off. This is all unfolding just as it should. Just as it should. And that is a big point I want to make, is to not, if you are on the psychedelic path, the spiritual path of using psychedelics, you have your whole life to enter into that realm. And you'll enter into that realm as many times as you were meant to be. As many times as you were meant to. You're not going to go in or miss out on any experiences, because every one you have is meant to be right there at that time. If I were to just whip out my acid and take a strip, think about how much that would shift my karmic unfolding of my spiritual path in regards to psychedelics. Bang, there it is. 10 tabs of LSD. Right in my experience. You know what my ego thinks in regards to that is, who knows what the trip is going to be like? Who knows what I'm going to think? Who knows if I can handle it? Who knows if I'll ever come back? Who knows if I'll even survive? On and on and on. And to the ego itself, it's torture. It's suffering. It's suffering because it wants so badly this spiritual power, but it doesn't really want it. It wants to want it is a better way to put it. I want to be spiritually deep, but I don't want to be spiritually deep, because when I get spiritually deep, the ego, my ego, flickers. And there's a lot of fear associated with it, in my experience. A lot of fear of my own mind. And like I said, this is not in the psychedelic. This is in me. My head, my ego, my mind, my karmic reality. And while I feel sort of like trapped because I can't enjoy these things, I also feel blessed because they're so potent in my spiritual journey. They're so much a part of it. So much a part of it. When I think of spirituality, I think of some of the things I've seen myself and thought and felt myself on these things, on these psychedelics. And I go out into society and I'm seeing these people in front of me and I'm thinking to myself, have they seen the things that I've seen? Have they thought the things that I've thought? Have they seen their entire visual field transform in front of them? Have they realized that who they think they are is an illusion? Have they communicated with beings, with interdimensional entities? That's just the regular thoughts that go through my mind when I see another being, when I see another person, is essentially, are you as fucking crazy as I am? Are you as far out as I am? Are you as deep as I am? Have you considered the things I've considered? Because it feels like a complete alienation. It feels like a complete disassociation between what I'm doing and what I'm supposed to be doing. And this is where the roots of my fear and my paranoia and anxiety associated with the rate at which I'm spiritually advancing. It's what makes it a thing. Is what I think I'm supposed to be doing. And I can't describe to you all why these psychedelics are so spiritual, in my opinion. I can't. It isn't words. It's not something you describe intellectually. It's beyond all that. It's beyond all the bullshit. And that's what makes it so powerful to me. Is it's right there with you. The real you. The one who's been here the whole time. Not the transforming phantom-like ego that resides in the conceptual mind, but the awareness, the sentientness of your soul and being itself is what the psychedelics talk to, and what the psychedelic reveals itself to. And they're the most beautiful encounters. They're the most beautiful encounters with anything that I've ever had in my life. Ever. They were the most intense. They were the most profound. They were the most life-changing. They were the most intimidating. The most is the essence of what psychedelics have been like to me. You know, Terrence McKenna, you might not know him. He's a big psychedelic advocate. Passed away now, but he was really popular back in the 90s. He talks about, you don't see people walking into the Buddhist ashram with their knees knocking at what they're about to be revealed to. But on the other hand, taking a psychedelic as a form of spiritual practice takes a lot of courage, takes a lot of centering, a lot of grounding, a lot of work with your own mind, your breath, intention, set and setting. So much goes into it as to not lose your shit because you're so attached to your ego. That's a powerful spiritual practice. Now I see it all the time. People all around me. They take these things. They have a nice trip. But nothing moved them. Nothing nudged them. Nothing made them think shit was crazy like it did for me. Nothing made people go, whoa, down to the core. I mean, the high itself will make anybody go, whoa. But what I was seeing in these experiences, it's like I was, very one in a few. I was very one in a few, if that even makes sense. And I've had friends that I've had for a long time in my life, that were around when I was getting spiritual on psychedelics. And they thought I was crazy. They thought I was druggy. They thought I was losing it. And now they've taken them themselves and are like, yeah, that was pretty cool, man. Pretty far out experience. Pretty rad. Pretty chill. Pretty crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. It was so crazy. It was crazy, man. Yeah, that's far out. But, I don't settle with that label. Yeah, it's really fucking crazy. It's really crazy. It's really far out. You know, did you not realize you don't exist? Did you not realize that everything you think is reality is just a thought form? Did you realize that senses themselves aren't conveying reality because they can shift into something incomprehensible just by eating this little piece of paper or this little handful of fungus or a few hits off this pipe? Did you realize those things? Did you realize yourself? A lot of people just got high. A lot of people just tripped. And still just trip. You know, and I feel like in a sort of sense I'd like to be them, because I wish I could just take these things and have some really cool, enjoy the visuals and enjoy the feel of it and enjoy, you know, everything about it. But when I do it, it's a spiritual teaching. It's a spiritual awakening every time. Every time. Whether it be subtle or massive, you know? And you know, another thing Terrence talks about is a lot of people in spirituality are really trying to, you know, get the ball rolling, get things going. Let's go, let's get spiritual. Like I was saying earlier, they just want to get there because it takes so much work that you need to keep working, keep doing practice, keep practicing, keep meditating, keep mantraing, keep doing yoga, keep fasting. But then you take psychedelics, and now you're looking for the brakes. You're trying to figure out how to slow this whole thing down, because this is just going too quick. It's too intense, it's too far out, it's too much. Whatever word you want to put on it that doesn't even do anything amidst the experience, which is also what conveys such extraordinariness about it, is that you can't say or do anything amidst the psychedelic rush to make it not do what it's doing. Unless you watch Psyched Substance and you like to take trip killers when things get too intense. I mean, that's your karmic path. But if I were to do that, I would feel like such a phony. So fake. So disgraced in myself, you know? I took this and got scared, and now I made it go away. You know, because I have seen the spirit of LSD. I have seen the spirit of DMT. And they are beautiful. They are the most beautiful things I have ever laid my eyes on, I have ever communicated with, I have ever felt and allowed and surrendered to. And to chemically banish it out of my body by taking another chemical that basically negates what it's doing. I don't know, it just doesn't seem right to me. But yeah, if you are taking psychedelics and, you know, are involved with spirituality, and you're maybe in a position where you want to trip but you're too scared to, whether you've done it or you haven't, like I said, you got your whole life to trip. You got your whole life to do it whenever you want, whenever it's around, whenever you can get it. Things will line up. It's going to happen when it's meant to happen. Don't rush any sort of this journey, because like getting behind yourself and trying to push, you just might find yourself a little more far out than you thought you were, and that in itself creates its own boundaries and barriers, because that can create a very unstable mind, a very unsettled mind. So just accept where you are, you know? I accept that I am afraid to take a psychedelic again because I fear that I'm going to go insane. You know? I don't want to accept that. I don't want that to be how I feel and what I think, but it's how I feel and it's what I think, you know? And you need to come to terms with that. I do too. I need to come to terms with how I feel, you know? So, you know, if you're here still, and you wonder why I'm not posting as much psychedelic content, or why I'm not doing trip reports, or, you know, that kind of stuff, it's because I haven't tripped in quite a while. It's been half a year now, and you know, I'm not going to go out and do them so that I can make a trip report, or so that I can, you know, just talk about them. But yeah, I just wanted to let you know that I'm not doing these things very frequently. This isn't something that I actively do. But I can assure you that when I do it, and when it does happen, whether you get live footage, or a trip report, or a new bizarre theory that I came up with or stumbled upon, you will see it. You will see it on my channel, because that is part of what this channel is about, is sharing that psychedelic journey. And this is still an ongoing journey. Just because it's been 6 months doesn't mean it's over. Doesn't mean it's done. I'm not tripping again. Never gonna happen. Because that is something that when it crosses my mind, it's like, bitch, I'll force myself to trip before I think I'm never doing it again. I mean, maybe that'll be what makes me never want to do it again. I'm just kind of joking around though. But yeah, don't rush. Don't rush. Take it easy, you know. And maybe if you're somebody that's taking these things and finding them not spiritual, you're finding them, you know, not holding up to what people say they do, maybe go into an experience and look at what it is that you're looking for, and look at what it is that the psychedelic is doing. You know, if you're on a nice dose, it'll be quite present, it'll be quite active, and will be right there with you. You know, and just sit and observe. You know, see the mind and see the visuals and feel it, you know, and see how your thoughts are moving. And see how you constantly feel like you're going like this in terms of awareness of yourself. How it's falling out or going back, or you're constantly, there's another you seeing the you that was seeing the you that was seeing you. You know, that whole, allow that, you know? And maybe you will see something profound. Maybe you will see something infinite, something spiritual, something breathtaking that you've never witnessed before, beyond just it being a crazy high. Okay? So I really feel that's it for this video. I just wanted to talk with you all about psychedelics and taking them in regards to spirituality, and what that can do to an individual's mind, you know. And this entire video, I want to preface again, has been my experience with psychedelics, my karmic journey with these beautiful spirits. So, thank you all so much for watching. If you have anything you'd like to say in the comments, please do. I'd love to hear it, and I'd love to give you some feedback and converse with you all. So thank you all for watching, and I will be back with more.